Welcome everyone to Lunchtime Politics. So, election day is getting closer and about 20 days to go already. The international community have their eyes on the crucial polls. The European Union Election Observation Mission for the 2019 general election says it has no interest in the outcome of the elections, and its delegation is here at the request of INEC to ensure a free and fair process. Our correspondent Kayla Megwa has more.
Election observation is a vital European Union activity which is aimed at strengthening democratic institutions. Nigeria has had 6 missions from the European Union since 1999, and the missions give recommendations to the government after each mission. The 2007 and 2003 EU Election Observation Mission was led by Chief Observer Max Vandenberg, a member of the European Parliament. The mission in 2015 was led by Santiago Fassas, who is also a member of the European Parliament. At the time, the elections were described as highly competitive, yet marred by incidents of violence and abuse of incumbency at state and federal levels. This year, the chief observer for the EU Election Observation Mission in Nigeria is Belgian politician Maria Arena, and she outlines what their roles will be.
We have the mandate only to collect information concerning the electoral process and then to publish our findings and make recommendations. We are not interested in the outcome of the elections.
It is a high-powered delegation of 11 EU election analysts and 40 long-term observers. The chief observer says they are completely independent of any forces.
We are completely independent, I said, in our conclusions. We are independent from the EU delegations, and we are independent also from EU member states and all EU institutions.
Several issues were brought to the fore, such as commitments from the election umpire to people with disabilities, claims by INEC on vote buying, and the security of the observers in the light of recent claims by the government of plans to perpetrate widespread violence in many parts of the country.
After, when it comes to vote buying, I think that we have heard some messages that you are speaking about, and we have to observe what's happening in the different places. We have these 40 people working since yesterday, and they will be there and to see what's happening in this kind of situations.
This is the 6th European Union Election Observer Mission to Nigeria. And with each election, they make recommendations, and they say these recommendations are different every time. You can find those recommendations on their website. Now, pertinent to note at this press conference is the fact that the EU observers are saying that they have absolutely no interest in the outcome of the elections and are only here to make sure that the process is free and fair. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari says he is impressed with INEC's readiness for next month's general elections, and he is optimistic that the electoral body will deliver on its mandates or credible poll. The president was speaking to the European Union Observer Mission to Nigeria and paid him a visit at the State House in Abuja. The president said he had listened earlier in the day, yesterday that is, to the INEC chairman, Professor Yakubu, who he briefed when he briefed the National Council of State, and he hopes that the confidence he exuded and the intellect he brought to bear on the report will be justified at the end of the day. Elsewhere, members of the Civil Society Situation Room, which is a coalition of local elections monitoring groups in Nigeria, they're asking the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to engage all criticisms from citizens, including those of the former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who recently raised some concerns about the preparedness of the Commission to conduct credible polls, starting with the presidential elections next month. The convener of the Situation Room, Mr. Clemens Nwankwo, made the remarks at a meeting in Abuja where the election observer group set a threshold for the conduct of a credible poll. The group, which also raises concern about the alleged partisanship of police officers ahead of the elections, asked the acting Inspector General of Police to respect the need for non-partisanship during the polls.
The credibility of INEC hinges on the confidence people have in the electoral system, and if someone as highly placed as the former president is raising concern, then it's a concern that INEC should engage with and convince Nigerians and the parties that it is addressing those concerns. Certainly, as we head to the elections, as elections are held, INEC will be measured against expectations that citizens have. It is important that INEC takes on board every comment made about its preparations for the elections. If former President Obasanjo is expressing a concern, then it's some concern that INEC needs to take on board to examine whether the concerns expressed by the former president are concerns that they should address or not. We have our concerns, we express it to INEC, and sometimes we express it publicly. We are concerned generally about the security agencies and partisanship ahead of the elections. We are asking the IGP, the new one, to respond to the several concerns, and for us it's not a question of former IGP Idris or not. It's a question of getting the institution, the security agencies, to respect the need to be non-partisan. So we would not stop amplifying those concerns, even though you have a new IGP.